I'm an avid reader and art lover as well.
Super wonderful. And what is you're coming to Geneva soon, right? So you wanted to tell us a little bit, yeah.
Yes, I'll be in Geneva mid-October because, Geneva and Switzerland are currently a sort of epicenter of technology and innovation and investment. There's a lot of, it's a very lively environment. And in Geneva, particularly where I have some clients as well, there are some institutions extremely interesting to follow, like, for example, JESDA.
Yes.
JESDA is partnering with the CERN, and they built the Quantum Institute. And mid-October, they will present their Anticipation Week. So it's going to be quite interesting.
Okay, so we'll look forward about that and getting more news on social media, no doubt. Yeah. Welcome, Remy. Thank you for joining us. I think you're based in lovely south of France.
Yeah, I live in Nice.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah. Today the weather is not so good, but okay.
Okay. And we met in Lisbon, but I also follow you on X with the morning NFTs, which is every day from 9 to 10. So how did you get involved in social media? What's your background?
My background is especially on with this podcast NFT Morning since 2021. And every day now on Twitter. Before we were on Clubhouse, and I'm very excited by all new kind of social networks as a decentralized network. So maybe we could talk about it later.
A little bit later. Yeah, that sounds really good. Just one moment, because we're waiting for Florian. And she's writing me on WhatsApp. Here you go. You know, this is the groups and everything. But I'll pass it on to kindly Anastasia, who's going to help her, and then we'll get back to her. Just one moment. This is her there. Just I don't know what she's doing. Okay, so again, like coming back to NFT mornings, how did you get it big? How did you get people to join from all around the world? It's fascinating.
Yeah, we start, as I said before, we start on Clubhouse. There is I don't know if you remember this app.
Yes, Clubhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
maybe today it disappeared, but there will be a huge hype. Sorry, I would just want to apologize for my English, but
listen,
I make huge effort to speak English with you. There was a huge hype in the beginning on 2021 when we start NFT Morning. And at a certain moment, Twitter launched the Twitter Space at the end of 2021, and at this time we had a not so bad community on Twitter, because we had something like 5,000 or 6,000 people, and we thought we could convert this follower into listeners, but it's not so easy. So we changed. We moved to Twitter, and now there are lots of we try something to grow our community, and but for example, since the new season, since around 10 days, the new season of NFT Morning, we are only on live videos every morning, and after we podcast the audio.
So I was curious, because I've been following you with the live videos, and did you get any feedback? Are people liking to see your faces, or do they prefer your avatars?
I don't know if they wish us for our faces, but it's really different as a experience. I think video is more interactive. We can when we receive when we introduce an artist, we can expose their art.
Yes.
And before it was complicated, so
Yeah.
almost impossible. So in this way, I think it's better. But we are a podcast, and I don't think the experience as a podcast is so good with the video.
No, I've
Because
got to say, my comment was because I often listen to you when I'm on the bus, actually going to work. So, you know, it's fine. I've got the headphones on. I'll just quickly interrupt because I'd like to welcome Florian, who was able to join us. So Florian is Geneva-based, and she's created a platform called Dedal-E. So maybe, Florian, you can tell us a little bit about yourself and Dedal-E in a minute. But first, tell us who you are and how you came to the Web3 world.
Thank you so much, and hello everyone. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you today. And yeah, we'll talk about our platform. So, and also me a little bit because so I did my study in Geneva at the school also of 16 when I meet her. And yeah, I continue to work in an art way because I like it, and also technology. I'm very interested about that. All my family also work also in technology, and I think that's why we're still passionate about it. And yeah, so I will do some presentation if it's okay for you. So
okay.
You can have an idea of what is Dedal-E. Okay, so
maybe I can just quickly add, when we met with Florian, I wrote an MBA program on art management, which also included, of course, a lot of communication. So it was always a pleasure working with you.
So this is, so I present, sorry. So I just present, if you can see after that.
I'm just, can Florian share her screen? Yeah, you should be able to share the screen. You've got permission as a speaker.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's good or no?
Not now, not at the moment.
Okay. So, but I can introduce what is Dedal-E.
Yeah.
Wait. So it's a platform dedicated for the artists and also for the lovers of arts. I mean, all the people who like music, who like arts in general, photography or imagery. So they can be in this platform. And we have a different section in this platform. It's like social media. I mean in social media because we can interact with other people in a totally different way, because I don't mean Dedal-E is unique. I think all the social media are unique, but it's unique because at our way, because all the people in this world can use it. We don't need, we have a section of a data lab. It's like a laboratory. We can create a new form of art and we can combine it as an NFT. So NFT, who don't know exactly it is, it's like you have your passport or identity card, and you have art, and it's like the certification of you. You have your name, you have when you are born, where also you are born, and something like that. So, and the idea in this platform, you can create a combination with a combination of a different art or different media, as your favorite music, for example. So you have like I can take, for example, Despacito, because it's, all the people know this music, and also with a picture or your favorite photography, and you just have to fusion it, and it creates a new gift, like a little video just the time of your music and your synchronization of music with and it's making in like you have your art, like your image, and it's making in life. It's like you have your painting and with the music and the synchronization of all the things.
And then it creates an NFT automatically, right, on the blockchain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also you can do that alone or with other people. That's why we can call that as a social media, because I can say, okay, with my friends, with my 5 friends, we want to create an art in common. So we choose all, like my friends, I take some names, example of names, Cyrine and Aline. So we choose all a part of music, all the part of not a part like an image or photography, and we combine it, we fusion it, and it creates like a combination of art, and it's you have your little gift, your little video.
And all this you will be linked directly as well with all the normal social, you know, the traditional like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, obviously. And Discord, right? So it will also open those gates to your users. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, and so as we can see, like Instagram, we have some picture with music and something like that. But yeah, it's similar, but in like with an AI, we use an intelligence artificial to do that. And yeah, and also we have another section. It's for the live, for the artists who can do the live, has a DJ, or you are going at the concert. And we're thinking with our team the problematic now, and I know I'm also very addict with my with my phone, and we are all in the concept with our phone, and it's not very respectable for the artist. And that's why we wanted to create the live where just the artist can take his phone and create his proper live. And after that, we sell it as not to NFT, but in tokenization. And other people can take a part, also the live. And it's also good because if you have an artist and she's a superb artist, and we don't know her, but maybe in 5 or 10 years, she's very famous. The live can take also a value.
Of course, yeah.
And
do you find maybe Gian Andrea? Do you find that the use of keywords, etc., which is what you're using in your platform? You might want to explain a little bit what your concept is, but it should be a mix, like, and you find the keywords are changing with the generations, like somebody might be using you know, traditional words where other people might be using slang, or musicians might be using other vocab. Does that make a difference?
But before this, just a quick note, when Florian was speaking about the live, because recently I had an experience at the in hotel in Florence, where there was this resident artist. His name is Ania Sand. She's English. And the hotel provided her with a room, and she was painting, and people, the guests of the hotel or other guests, could join her sitting down and looking at her painting, asking for questions, etc., etc. And that could be quite interesting for the platform as well.
Yeah.
Going back to the let's say the language, the keywords, the hashtags, whatever we want to call them. What is interesting is that language is changing very fast, because since the advent of social media, what we have seen is that the change, it's a matter of the generation is not changing any longer between father and son, but every 5 years. So if any of us has children or brothers or sisters, we can see that every 5 years there is a real
shift.
change in the language, in the attitude towards the social media channels, towards the devices, etc., etc. So this is extremely interesting because, of course, the language in a platform, in a live platform dedicated to art, is necessarily following this kind of evolution.
Yes.
Let's call evolution.
Yeah.
Let's call evolution.
Not revolution. Evolution.
Or evolution, or whatever we want to define it. It depends from how old we are, which is our approach to our attitude towards changes as well. But in general, this is very interesting, because anything that is related to the language is really making the difference.
Yeah. And the use of video, we were talking about it a little bit with Remy. Before we do, I've been looking at our attendees, and again, we've got all sorts of generations, so it's very interesting. Thank you all for joining us. I did mention that this webinar was recorded, but you can also ask your questions. So this is for the attendees. If you go down at the bottom of your screen in the middle, you've got something called raise hands, or you can ask questions as well, Q&A. If you would prefer to write them down there, you're more than welcome, and then I will forward them on to our speakers. But again, thank you very much for joining, everybody. Now we're back to the videos and everything. I was, with Remy, we were talking that now the NFT Mornings has gone live with videos. Of course, Florian is offering this possibility of creating your own GIFs and videos. You as an analyst, I would say, of all the social medias, do you find that videos get more traction than posts?
In some way, yes. There are channels that are devoted to video in reality. If I may quote an artist, I would say that the 15 minutes of fame that Warhol was talking about, the pop art, now becoming the 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The average length of a video in TikTok or Instagram or something like that. Because of course, video is definitely allowing to be more creative. You don't need to be very good with the language if you are, and furthermore, the smartphones are becoming, are no longer something to make some phone calls, but they are truly cameras, and so that's changing everything. And
a smartphone is a handheld computer, really, and camera.
Exactly, but whenever I hear someone claiming, okay, but that phone cost 1,000 euro, the problem is that you don't have to compare with other phone. You have to compare with the Leica, for example, with a camera. That's the comparison.
Yeah.
And of course, that means that video are so effective as a mean of communication.
Of course, and the use, I suppose, Remy, do you find that with all the artists that you're working on and those who are on the platform, the use of artificial intelligence, is that coming into social media to write posts and things, or is that a problem, or is it a good thing?
Maybe in French for this question, sorry.
Yeah, ok, on peut faire en français et j'essaierai de traduire.
Ok, non, peut-être que ok. J'essaierai en anglais sinon.
Comme tu veux.
Non, mais si tu peux reposer la question, pardon, en français.
Ah, pardon. Alors oui, non, je disais, toi qui vois tellement d'artistes et qui a tellement d'intervenants tous les matins, etc., est-ce que tu trouves que l'introduction maintenant presque démocratique de l'intelligence artificielle t'a changé la donne, ou bien est-ce que c'est en live et puis tes gens, ils parlent directement?
If you want, I can answer in English, but today it's too early to say the impact of intelligence artificial in my case for the speakers I receive, but maybe certainly in early days there will be an impact.
Yeah. And you think it's going to be more with young people, the generations X and younger, or do you think older people are also interested in artificial intelligence? Are they trying it out? In your experience, I know you're talking about creating Wonder Room as well, and that's traditional musical instruments. And so are you using artificial intelligence to create things with it or not?
It's the kind of thing we can we want to try, especially with artists. But to answer for the first part of the question, I think intelligence artificial is interesting for even young people and
Old people.
old people. That's the power of this new technology. It's the way everybody can use it very easily. I want to make the comparison with the blockchain and NFTs. It's still a bit complicated to try and to be interested by this kind of technology. Even if I want to say congratulate to Florian, because Didali seems a very easy way to introduce to NFTs and
the blockchain.
And I just wanted also Florian, you are obviously welcome to come to the NFT morning to present your project.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, with pleasure. Yeah.
I just saw that you came under, I just noticed that you came, Florian, under my name. It shows up, so I should introduce you again, but it's Florian Rosselin, by the way. It's not me. So in Dedali, are you going to do a machine learning? Are you going to add a machine learning artificial intelligence tool or not? Florian, inside Dedali?
So yeah, for the data lab, the tool, so we fusion the different media. We create, Luca, my other associate, create this fusion. So it's taken time, but yeah, we have to build, he built an intelligence artificial. So yeah, it's...
Okay. Sounds good. I'm looking and addressing the audience here. If anybody has any questions, please, shout, put your hand up. Oh, we have a question now. So it's from Anthony. Thank you. Expanding on the previous questions, it appears that artificial intelligence is disturbing the search engine optimization analysis. So that might be more for Gianandrea. By diverting customer from Google to tools such as ChatGPT or Perplexity. This creates a necessity to create even more interesting content for marketers. And do you think that artificial intelligence will kill the search engine optimizations eventually? What do you think, Gianandrea?
I'm in digital since 2006. And let's say that every 2 years, there's something that should kill what previously existed. And in reality, it never happened. So I don't think it will kill, but it is true that it should push Google to become or to go back a bit to its roots. Because in the past, whenever you were searching through Google, you were getting results. Now you get, let's say, bracket advertising. And the fact that all the search is driven by what you choose to visit and to navigate through on the web is what is making the search on Google a bit confused in terms of outcomes. Because if any of us is running the same search on Google, there is a very high rate of possibility that we get different result for each of us. For what it is about ChatGPT or the artificial intelligence, this is a bit different because this may change according with the content you feed artificial intelligence with. But not necessarily, if you are just linked to log in into artificial intelligence, into ChatGPT, and you ask a question, probably you get more or less the same answers, probably. While if you feed the system with some information, that could drive a bit the outcome. But I don't think it will kill. It will drive Google to do something different from what it is right now.
I find the point that you made about being advertising and commercial, and that in fact Google has an artificial intelligence that will recognize the fact that you're looking for a holiday in Greece or whatever. That's one thing. But what I find really interesting with any of the artificial intelligence, whether it's image or whether it's text, it's the prompting part and the exchange that you can have with the machine, and then that the machine remembers your previous exchanges, and that's the machine learning. So by the end of the day, if you use it a lot, I would say that your whatever you're looking for every time will be a little bit more customized to your needs, which I find very interesting.
But then it depends on how to write your prompt.
Yes, of course.
I still think that I think it's still valid the fact that 95% of the search on Google are done with one word.
Yes.
While when you're looking for something on a ChatGPT, for example, you are forced to be a bit more articulate.
Yes.
You can get on ChatGPT and write, I don't know, car. Well, because you get a lot of tons of material which not necessarily is related with what you want or what you need.
I also find that I'm testing it, like it's a little bit like talking to a lawyer. When you ask a question to artificial intelligence, you need to know the answer, because otherwise it can lead you astray. So it's always interesting because you're in a sort of, it's not a conflict, but it is a bit of a, I'm going to catch you out sort of thing.
And lawyer, they have their own language. So you need to decode the answer most of the
time. Also, what I find very interesting with the ChatGPT is that it is interactive, but you can, when you're in Google, you like, for example, I'm in the art world, so I'm constantly looking for the value of this and that painting. When you ask, and I've tried it, you ask Google, you need to be a member of most of ArtPrice or all these other ones. Whereas ChatGPT, it seems to go through that, and you get your answers very well, even faster, because it spits the answers at you. And also you get all the results, and I hope they're true. I mean, in that case, I don't have the answer, but I mean, it gives you a good idea of the price ranges that you can have for this or that piece of art, which is very useful.
This is true for ChatGPT as well, for Claude of Anthropic. There's even though they still have the differences, because in some way ChatGPT tends to be more structured in the answer, while Claude with the same question tends to be a bit more colloquial. This is the experiment that we have run with our own contents, in order that, because when you feed the system with the model with your own contents, you can be more confident about the answer. Otherwise, you don't know what the system has been fed with, and so you don't know what the answer is based. But when you are in the position to feed the system with, to train the model with your content, then the accuracy of the answer is definitely very interesting.
Yeah, I personally also use it as a guide, and also, for example, if I do a post on LinkedIn, I will ask ChatGPT what are the 10 best tags to add underneath, or hashtags, the most popular ones, and whatever, and of course that should spit it out straight away. Remy, do you find that when you're advertising for NFT, do you go to other platform, or you only posting on X saying, I'm going to, you know, we're performing tomorrow morning, or we have these and those speakers tomorrow morning? Or are you using other platforms to advertise?
It depends, but to advertise, we specifically use X. But if I'm very proud of an interview of, I like to post it on LinkedIn, because
Yes, okay.
I think it's a good social network for this kind of utility.
And do you know, like, are you tracking if you posted something on LinkedIn, do you get those community members back to X? Do you know, can you calculate that?
No, it's not the same audience, I think.
Okay.
That's why it's interesting to post on LinkedIn, because it's for another public. We also try to open an Instagram account.
Okay.
but I let down very quickly.
Why?
Because it's lots of work.
Yeah.
Our problem with NFT mining, it's we are here every day. So every day, if I want to communicate the best I could, I use all kind of social network.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very lots of time for me. It's not possible.
I can assure you, even as a listener,
if it was my only work, I do it, but it's not the case.
I have to say, it's the same for me. I'm very curious about all of this, but if you listen to only X, and you look at the lives, they're all very interesting. But you know, you're in the morning, you're my sort of breakfast listening. And then I like to listen to Mocha in LA, so it's the other time, it's timeline. But it's like a radio. In the old-fashioned days, you had the radio turned on all the time, and that's what X is like with the lives. So that's really quite interesting, how it's going back to that. And the video component, not so much. What I like with what you're doing without the videos is that you can interact, but sort of almost anonymously, in a way, if you're a bit shy about what you're saying. Do we have any other questions? Let me just check. No, we haven't got any at the moment, but I'm sure people are there listening.
The other question we didn't focus on it. It's in fact the purpose of the ownership of our digital lives.
Yes.
And that's why I think digitally it's very interesting, because it put back this question at the heart of the debate. And I just talked about Instagram a few minutes ago, and the question is this photo and this all the content we put on Instagram or other networks. Who own all this? The debate of the ownership. I think it's very the main debate, the main subject, and it's. I don't know. It's my opinion, but it seems very undervalued today.
Yeah.
But for me, it's one of the biggest. I don't know, enjeux. I don't know.
I don't know how you say that either, but it's true that it's a very strong point of contingency, and it needs to be solved quite quickly. And there's also the intellectual property, and also the idea of private sphere. So maybe with Florian, you can talk to us about intellectual property. Did you consider that question?
Yeah, sure. Like for the fusion, we have so we transform it as an NFT, So NFT is like your identity card. So normally it's secure. It's secure, and you have also the traceability of the combination of art, and also for the live. Yeah, we know a lot of live of other artists are in Instagram and other platforms. But we want also to secure it as a copyright of a live of the artist when the singer do his concert after that, so we can see it in the live, actually in the moment, but after normally the video we cannot see it. We have to. It's totally secure, but by as an NFT we can, but we prefer tokenization, because tokenization it's like it's the same, it's similar as an NFT, but all the people can take a part of on it.
Yeah,
so,
fragment. You can fragment it. Is that what you're meaning? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like a copyright. It's like a securitization for all the tools. Yeah.
We should I'm doing a little aparté here, but there's a gentleman called Antoine Sarraute, and he's got Wakweli, and he's doing certification by the community as well. So perhaps you can include somehow a system in DALI where all the members could actually validate whatever NFT is being minted. I don't know if that's an aparté. Don't worry about it now.
Yeah, but that's good. Yeah.
But
Thanks.
yeah, it's definitely food for thought. And then Gian-Andrea, I was worried with I was curious about the all these analysis and the database that you're gathering. What about privacy, sphere of privacy? Are you allowed to use that any way you want because you got it off the social media environment?
Yeah, let's say everything that is public in general can be divided in two: what is public and what is private. What is public can be used by anybody. Of course, there is the GDPR in Europe. So there is the mean of anonymization of the content, and all the contents must be resident in servers based in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if you collect information in Europe, you can let them in a server based, I don't know where in the world. And there are the terms of service of the channels, of course, that are strictly regulating, at least from a certain point of view, this kind of topic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we are working in building through the generative AI. We are working creating, for example, persona and digital alter ego, because this is a way to get the digital counterpart of individuals, but not necessarily using the individual's information with name, surname, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And you can use this kind of persona and digital alter ego to run, for example, testing of a new service, testing of a product, testing even in terms of communication, political. Because let's say digital can be divided in before Cambridge Analytica and after Cambridge Analytica. Before Cambridge Analytica was a big scandal about the usage of personal information for a political campaign through the company, and it was a huge mess. And what happened is that particularly Facebook, the then Facebook and Instagram, the Friday night, 3 days before the audition of Mark Zuckerberg at the hearing of Zuckerberg at the commission at the parliament in the United States, the Friday night they close everything. They close all the third-party application, everything. And so while before Cambridge Analytica, you can get all the data you wanted without any problem, then it has become definitely more difficult and more regulated. Privacy is a concern because, and again, we go to the concept of generation. The perception of the privacy is completely different. What is interesting is that while the age between 40 and 60 get online in a more wild way, like it was a happy hour, the younger generation are more paying attention to the privacy, even because they know that the parents are online as well. So sometimes they have some, the polite account and then the hidden account where they share everything, or they're in different platforms that most of the time parents do not know anything about. So it's, and they use more, for example, the messaging system instead of publishing things.
The which system? Sorry, I didn't hear
The
you.
messaging system.
The message, yeah, of course, yeah.
Instead of publishing things.
Yeah.
So that's in some way changing the situation about the privacy.
Yeah. It's true that there's a lot more groups, WhatsApp groups and things being exchanged on WhatsApp than there is on the messenger of Facebook, for example.
Or the other channel that nobody mentioned today that were
Discord.
No, Telegram.
Yeah.
But that's a channel where there was a lot of communities.
Yes.
Because it was encrypted more definitely better than WhatsApp.
It's there's also some security issues as well, where they say that WhatsApp can be hacked and your persona, which may be or may not be you, can be stolen, you know, and used for different purposes. So all this, of course, there's always a dark side to all of this. It's nice to be open and to share and to be transparent, but it leaves doors open to the darker side of each one of us. That's difficult too.
It is interesting what people decide to share and what they decide not to share. Because sometimes we think that we know people by what they share, but in reality, they are keeping hidden the most interesting part of their life. And this is quite common in reality. It's more common than expected.
Yeah, everybody has a hidden garden, but what comes out, it also depends what you use it for. I personally use it only for professional reasons and promotion, and it's a marketing communication tool. I don't put on Instagram what I had for breakfast. That's not my style. But we're about 45 minutes in, so we've got 15 minutes left to go, and I'm going to ask all of you 2 questions. The first question is, do you guys hit your phone first thing in the morning when you wake up, or do you have your coffee first? I'll start with Florian, ladies first.
So for me, yeah, to be honest, I'm a little bit addicted on my phone. So yeah, when I wake up at the morning, I think the first things after cut my alarm, it's to go in the social media. Yeah, so.
And see what happened.
Exactly.
What about Remy? Is the first internet interaction the morning NFT, or do you have another activity before coffee?
To be really honest, I completely changed my morning routine. Before, because I realized I was completely addicted to my phone. And now I don't sleep with my phone beside me.
Oh.
And so I buy a clocker. And now for me, it's now kids and coffee first, and emails and everything else after.
After.
Yeah.
What about you, Gian Andrea?
Well, the first thing I do in the morning is try not to get licked in my face by my two dogs.
Okay, late riser we have here.
they arrive as soon as I understand that I'm opening an eye. They are immediately there because it's time to get out. So that's changing a lot my morning routine. So then when I go out, sometimes I walking with the dogs. It happened that I check some social media, or I listen to something which is interesting for me. And the long walk in the morning is truly a sort of yoga exercise for me.
It's funny because I spoke with somebody who pointed a fact of life to me, which I didn't even think of because it wasn't my generation. But now when babies and young children, they get pushed in the pram in the morning walk by their mothers, they actually see the back of an iPhone or a phone, a smartphone, because the mother is, pushing while she's looking at the phone. So I think it's right to put the phone away. Well done, Remy. You've got my respect here. And Florian, you've got to be careful.
Yeah.
The second question that I've got for you guys before we go into a little bit of homework is what is your advice to the generation behind you? So I know, Florian, you're the youngest here on the floor, but there are people that are younger than you who are already doing new things on the Web3 scene. We haven't talked about augmented reality and all the platforms and the Web3 sort of environments. So what's your advice for all those people jumping in now?
I think in a case it's good. So we can see a lot of interesting things in the social media, also for cooking and something like that. But like for me, I'm addict as like Instagram, and we have a lot of information. And I think it's good maybe to be focused on some interesting information and not to have too much things to see, because it's not good for mental health and something like that. And but I think it can be dangerous also with reality, augmented reality. I don't know of where it's going on. If it's in a good way, it's okay, but it's also like our telephone can be easily an arm. It's like if you see a good thing, it's okay, but yeah.
What I find a little bit frightening, and God knows you don't need it, but people who are using filters, there's a lot of young girls or young men, doesn't matter, going out there and creating with their own image something that is imaginary, and sometimes it's setting wrong expectations. So I think that would be my advice as well with this different augmented reality or artificial intelligence, the same. To try things out, to say, oh, what would I look like if I were blonde or redhead or whatever, that's fun. But it can go a step further, and it can cause a lot of anxiety as well. So I think that's a difficult sort of barrier, not to, like the balance has to be very well worked with. What about you, Remy? What's your advice to your kids? How old are they, number one?
It's very old, are they? Almost 10 and 6.
Okay, so what do you tell them about the phone?
It's about they we are very strict in the family, so screens are almost forbidden.
Okay.
except on weekend. No, but it's a very complicated question. But about social networks, my advice is social networks are not the real life, so don't use it. The communication you have, the relationship you have in the social network are for 99% fakes. So focus on the real things, on the real people, on the real friend, and also about privacy. Don't share at all. Really, for me, it's the most important. Don't share at all anything about your private life.
Yeah.
And for me, for example, about my kids, I never share a picture with the faces of my kids. It's very something for me. It's very important, but I know lots of people do it. So, but
it's also what we talked about. We haven't really touched upon it, but this decentralization. I mean, people tend to forget that when they send a picture over the internet, whether it's a chat or whether it's social media, that picture no longer belongs to you. And that's what we're talking about ownership before. So it is very dangerous to flaunt it, put it that way. But if you need to do something private, then put your breakfast plate, but not your kids.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you have the time, but about there are some of new social networks, I think, like Farcaster, Lens Protocol. There, it's a bit not underground, still underground, but it's the beginning. I think the problem with the main social network like Twitter, there is a kind of moderation, but in fact there is no moderation, and it's it's a big problem. As in the decentralized social network, the moderation is making by the users, and it's very important. For me, it's a very important point.
It's actually a very good point too, that it stays that way. It stays, how can I say, politically acceptable as well. What I find strange today in the social media communication is that it's all very well thought out, and it's all, there's no aggressivity, there's no violence. But when the violence comes out, it's really bad. And I find that when I was much younger and you had debates on television, even the political debates that we're just going through with all the US presidents or wannabe presidents, it's very violent, and it's somehow it's not right. And but it's at the same time smiling and staying polite. And I don't know if I remember correctly, in the French political debates, it was like it came to fists almost, but I mean, at least it was genuine. And things were said that were actually meant. Whereas now people tell you with a smile how wonderful you are, and they don't mean a word. It's not there. The empathy is completely wrong. So be careful. As you say, what's on social media is not the real life. I think that's very true. Now, Gian Andrea, the word of wisdom. What do you tell the younger generations and your students and whoever is with you?
Well, I'm still confident that as we were thinking at the very beginning of the digital revolution, that the digital could foster a new renaissance of knowledge, of passion, of culture, etc. Okay, there's a very large dark side. Remy was mentioning before the absence of moderation on some social media channels. You were mentioning the violence, the threats that are the result of the fact that whenever we are behind the screen, we feel, even if it is true, that we are anonymous and that we are protected in some way. There was an interesting exercise done by a professor a few years ago. She was asking, if we are in a virtual reality situation with two holograms, for example, do you think that between the two holograms there will be the same aggression, or just because we see a figure of another person, this will refrain us from being violent? Or on the other side, since we know that it's all virtual, we can become even more violent. That's an unanswered question.
Yeah.
It's very important. And it's very important because it is based on how we manage the social media channel, how we manage the devices. It's like if we are on an alpine route with